Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. The podcast is designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. With me today is a repeat offender. I have Joe Keain, and he was on episode 193, and we were talking about transitioning from employee to business owner. Now, Joe has recently won Australian Podiatrist of the Year, so a little bit of celebratory applause. Here we go. Okay, everyone, settle down. Joe will get embarrassed if we keep that up. So let's just bring this back down again. So, Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent, mate. How are you?
I'm good. And thank you for coming back on. And thank you for having a hamburger with me in Cairns when you're up here visiting.
Great burger.
It was at Hemingway's. Yeah.
Yes, I was trying to remember the name. I couldn't quite get it. I was like, it's on the wharf somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had the, I think, tropical ale beer as well.
They were good.
They were nice. And I usually say that to everyone, if you're visiting Cairns, please look me up. We'll go to Hemingway's and have a burger and a beer, and usually an enjoyable couple of hours.
Definitely. Beautiful part of the world.
And then we shot a video together as well that I put on YouTube. That did really well. That particular video did really well on YouTube. Awesome.
Must have been the scenery.
I think it was the scenery. Oh, it could have been our talent as well, but it
couple of navy ships in the back.
I think it was more the scenery. It caught people's attention. They went, what are these guys doing? So let's move on to why I got you on here. So recently I saw on social media that you were named Australian Podiatrist of the Year. What is that?
So I won Australian Podiatrist of the Year through the Allied Health Awards. It basically takes into account all of the allied health people in Australia. So podiatry, physio, all that kind of stuff. And then, out of, I think it was 103 applicants for podiatry, I made top 5. And we went to the finals in Sydney. And then, from there, I ended up winning, which was awesome.
Okay, let's slow it down a bit. What was the process? So you're obviously, yeah. Okay, yes. Episode's over. We can leave now because he's just explained it all to us.
I just reaffirm what you said.
Yeah, what was the process from the initial, whether it was the application or nomination? Can you take us through that a little bit more?
Yep. So I found out about the process, all the awards through my business partner, Mel. She won in 2019.
Okay.
And then, she was like, you should apply. I think you'd have a good chance. And so, you apply through the Allied Health website, and then you fill out an application process, and it goes through 5 different categories of podiatry. So it was like what you do for the profession, technology, innovation, community, culture and leadership. And there was another one as well. So for each of those categories.
What was the first one?
It was what you do for the profession. It's like what you
profession.
Do for the
I thought you
profession.
said, what do you do for depression? Oh, wow, that's a tough question to open with, isn't it?
Got to be skilled in all areas.
Yeah.
It's a 5 category application.
Yeah.
And each category is between 500 and 800 words that you've got to do, a written application for. And from there it goes to a panel of, I think, 20 allied health people. So there's a couple of podiatrists on there, but then various allied health people.
Yeah.
And then they go through and pick the top 5, and then from there they pick the winner.
Okay. So when they went through and picked the top 5, do you then have an interview with them afterwards, or it's just your application they're basing it on?
The application, I think they do a bit of a background check and see if you kind of do what you say you do.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, but no interview after that.
Did you know any of the people that were on the judging panel, or you're oblivious to who they are?
No, I didn't know any of them. So one of them was the podiatrist who won last year, Jordan Ryder, but I hadn't met him before. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's handy if they've had people on there who have won before, though, because at least they know the criterion, what it was that they feel made them win. So they're probably going to be looking for the same sort of thing. Well,
definitely
not identically the same thing, but there's certain aspects they'd be looking for.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to put my hand up for next year's to be on the panel. So that should be cool.
Okay. Well, at least everyone. So there's a few people now who go, oh, okay, Joe's going to be on there. Let's get to know Joe.
No, probably won't get it. They probably won't let me on there. It's like when you go to jury duty and you can't go on there because you know the person. It'd be like that.
No, I've always been able to avoid it. So what I was going to ask, how has it changed? Well, did you nominate yourself to go in?
I did.
Do that?
Which sounds a bit vain, but I thought about it a lot. And I feel I really enjoy podiatry as a career. I think we've got a great profession. And I feel like there's also less and less people coming out of uni that want to be podiatrists. And there's a higher sort of turnover burnout rate in the profession as well, around that sort of 3 to 5 year period.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you want the profession to keep growing, I want to be at the forefront of showing people why it's so good. So I think the way to do that is to win an award to be able to showcase that to a wider audience.
Yeah, it was funny. I mentioned the Australian Podiatry Award to somebody a couple of months ago. It was before you actually won it, but because I'd heard of it before.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that I mentioned to went, bloody, that's just bullshit. It's just crap. It's a popularity contest. And I said, well, that's good then. It's like a Logie Award. Logie Award's just a popularity. So the thing is, you don't win these awards by being an idiot. You can be really popular and you can be doing the wrong thing, and you are never going to win that award. So there is some scrutiny behind it. And I think all awards are worthwhile because it really helps you reflect on who you are, your business, and you've got to answer those questions.
Definitely. It was also really cool to look back on what I've done over the past sort of 5-6 years and how far I've come, like what I've done in the community and things like that, stuff I'd forgotten about.
Yeah.
Looking back for, old photos and posts we've done on social media, like, oh yeah, we did do that. That was actually a really good thing. And that sort of paid dividends now that I'd kind of forgotten about.
Yeah. And if they've taken it down from 102 podiatrists, it's not as though the judging panel has handpicked you or you should nominate and therefore you're going to win. 102 people have applied for this. And then from that, they've dragged it down to 5. And then, so on the night, the other people that were the finalists, did you know who they were?
No, I hadn't met any of them before, but I knew one of the guys that knew some people we know. Yeah. So they're in the same coaching group, but I hadn't met him before.
Oh, right. Okay. So how confident were you on the night?
Like 50%. Not like, I was just happy to go there because it was in Darling Harbour in Sydney. I was happy just to get dressed up and look over the water and have a few beers. Like I was like, perfect. And my mum and dad came, my girlfriend Connie came. So yeah, I was looking forward to a good night. And I was like, I don't know, maybe 50% I might win. Like I'm here, maybe, see how we go. But yeah, there were a couple of guys with a lot bigger businesses than us and bigger teams and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good competition.
Well, it goes to show it's not about the size of the business or how many clinics they've got or even number of years of experience. It's based on whatever the judging criteria is and how you actually answered the question. So when it came to what you'd done for the profession, what were the sort of things you wrote down that you felt you had done well?
Yeah. So one of them was I wrote in Stride magazine. Maybe not last year before. Did a post on community for that. I wrote being on this podcast actually. So you might have
that's a winning thing straight away. Totally forgot.
I was like, it's either going to help or it's going to really negatively affect me. So
you're going to go, oh my God, were you on that? Okay, that's not good.
Yeah. So that were 2, which is really cool. Other stuff was including sort of what I do for our team. So like podiatrists, we help teach and grow. And then also I presented to SASMA, stuff like that. So yeah, just kind of all that conference sort of stuff.
Okay. And so that was the first question. What was the second question again?
It was innovation and technology. So sort of what you implement now and where you see the profession going in that realm. So I talked about, we use 3D custom orthotics. They are biodegradable, good for the environment, that kind of thing. Not that harsh plastic. Sorry. And then up to date with sort of shockwave therapy courses, that kind of stuff, all that, up to date research and treatment options. Done extra learning in things like, dry needling, footwear education, CPD, that kind of stuff.
And where do you think that the second part of that question was, where do you think the profession is going? Where do you think it's going?
I think podiatry is becoming a lot more well-known. And it could speak because I've been not longer. But like as myself, I, didn't go to podiatrist when I was a kid or anything like that. But now we get a lot of kids coming in. So then they've got a podiatrist now, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. I
think also we are kind of moving with the times and becoming more popular, but also holding our own in that space against things like physios, chiros, that kind of thing. People do know that, if I've got a sore foot, I do go to podiatrist, not to a physio or, somewhere else, which is cool. I still think there's a lot of work to be done in that area, but I think we are becoming, more well-known, and also social media has helped. So there's things like podcasts now. You can get on Instagram and see podiatrists, which I'd never had access to when I first started uni. I didn't know who the other podiatrists were. I only met them in person. True. So it's just, it's come a long way.
Yeah. I think the profession is slowly, it's going to sound really bad, is slowly starting to grow a set. and stand up for themselves, where they used to be bullied a lot by other professions. And not every podiatrist, like I was never bullied by doctors, physios, chiropractors. I just refused to be bullied by them. I always stood up for myself, stood up for the profession. But I know the profession as a whole sometimes hasn't always been that way, but I think it's definitely changing. I think there's a lot more podiatrists coming through realizing we're bloody good at what we do.
Definitely. We own the foot and ankle. Like nobody does orthotics as good as us. Nobody should do foot or ankle as good as us. Like we specialize in a very particular part of the body and we should be proud of that.
Yeah.
Like it kills me when I see a physio in my own clinic too, treating like an Achilles or a plantar heel pain. I'm like, oh no, like what's happening here? You've got to come and see us. So yeah, I think it is getting better though.
Yeah, there's been that discussion. It pops up usually once a year. It might pop up again after this podcast when the title doctor gets used. And I think whether you use it or whether you don't use it is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, if you choose not to use it, don't bag the people that do use it, because it's just a choice. Yeah, legally you're allowed to use the title. If some use it and some don't, I know some podiatrists that use it, and when they tell me all the reasons why they use it, I go, oh, that was Mickey Mouse just talking on my watch then. Oh, that was unexpected. It just threw me. Anyway, so I know some podiatrists that use the title doctor. And when I ask them, oh, why do you use the title doctor? And when they explain it to me, I go, yep, makes perfect sense. Then I know other people that don't use the title. And I say, oh, why don't you use it? And when they explain it, it makes sense. But I get frustrated when I hear or I see someone put something on social media, go, oh, if they use that, they're a wanker. Okay, why? Like, to me, that just says a lot more about them than it does the person who's actually using it.
Yeah, I think it's just mindset. Like it's not real, if that makes sense. Like I think there's a lot more things that probably you and I do that are more wankerish than that.
Oh, hell yes. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure there is. So let's move on to the third question that they asked you. Well, you had to write about.
So next one was community. So what you do for the community. So I think this is the section that really helped me.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of stuff and I have done over, the start of the journey of my career in the local communities. So I work with Teacher Galley Little Athletics Club. So I've been doing that for 4 seasons. Various soccer clubs, Pilates studios, that kind of thing, gyms. So yeah, had a lot of, I guess, evidence and photos and client stuff from that.
I think that's a really important point. I'm not sure if it was Howard Dannenberg when he was on, and he said that he gets podiatrists that would call him up and go, oh, I'm going to be doing a talk on this particular area. Have you got any photographs that I can use? And he'll go, you've been in the profession for over 20 years. And you're telling me you have not collected photographs throughout your career. And I always say that to people, you've got a really powerful camera in your pocket most days. Document your life, take photographs of different conditions. And when you're out in the community doing things, take photographs, get people to take photographs of you. Doesn't mean you have to put them on social media. You can always not use them. Yeah.
It's just that social proof though, right? Like if I go to see someone, I kind of want to know that they do stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you want to know as much as you can about them. You want to kind of know who they are, what they like, who they want to work with. At least I do anyway.
Oh, no, I agree. I think there's nothing better than whether it's healthcare or another business, you go on to social media when you know they've got a Facebook page and you'll flick through what they're doing. And I love seeing the team in that business doing things together. I love seeing the team out in the community doing things. I like seeing some of the things they do on weekends that makes them look like human beings. So I think it's really important I call it micro storytelling. Just letting them know a little bit about you without giving them your address and home phone number.
Yep, I agree. And I think in years to come, that's where some clinics are going to get left behind because they just haven't adapted. And we'll see. But I think being at the forefront of, or at least on social media and being a presence is only beneficial.
Yeah, I had a podiatrist that was in the Podiatry Business Owners Club that I have on Facebook. They went to join and I usually ask, oh, can I get your email address and your business name? Because I just want to know who I'm dealing with. And they didn't provide it. And I asked them if they can send it to me. And then I went, I'll be able to find it myself. So I just went and found it all. And I sent them a message. I'll just let you know, when you were asleep last night, I did a bit of stalking. I've got the information I need. they got really, really upset with me. Oh, what do you mean? What were you looking at night when I was asleep? And I'm like, I was just joking. I just got your business name and email address. But they got really paranoid that I was actually delving into their life after hours. I'm thinking, don't you realize patients are doing this? They are doing research on you before and after they decide to make an appointment.
A very funny story about that, actually. So a couple of years ago, I had a client come see me, new client.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I saw a video of you on Facebook drinking beer out of a pool noodle. And I was like, when was that? She's like, oh, from like a few years ago. And I was just like, shit. I went back on my Facebook and it was a visible video. Like I hadn't made it private. I was like, oh, fuck. But yeah, good client. Still comes to see me. So it worked out well.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like, I don't think there's nothing I've posted on social media that I don't look back on and go, yeah, I either laugh at it, but I would never put anything on social media that is just totally wrong, because I try not to do that anyway. There's too many people with cameras around these days. Like, if you had got me when I was 20, back before social media and smartphones, yeah, that could have been interesting.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't have Instagram or an iPhone when I was 17, 18.
Oh, geez, yeah, that would be an absolute worry. I think my bare butt would have turned up a few times.
Yeah, definitely.
But I definitely think now, like, if you're with friends and you're having a couple of drinks or you're doing something that's a little bit funny, I think patients need to know that you're normal. Yeah. You're probably doing nothing worse than what they do themselves on the weekend. And I think if they can sort of relate to you on that level, you'll build a clinic that you're going to be happy with the type of patients that you see.
Definitely. Yeah. Because they're real people. I think there's nothing worse than going into a clinic that's sterile. And we've been to GP clinics that are just like, the cream walls, nothing happening. Yeah. GP doesn't even look at you, doesn't even like crack a smile.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned to you before that I went to a neck surgeon a couple of days ago, and I saw a post recently on Facebook, and they're talking about, have you had any back, neck, or shoulder problems from the profession? And I think podiatry has aggravated my neck, but definitely didn't cause the injuries. It'd be sport for sure. Mm-hmm. But it was really interesting going to see the orthopedic surgeon. He was such a nice guy, really down to earth, joked around, made a couple of really inappropriate jokes, which I thought were hilarious. And he said, yeah, I've got to be careful when I tell that one. He said, because he said something about, this will be funny. I hope this doesn't offend anyone. He said, oh, yeah, it was as close as a bee's dick. And I went, that's pretty close. He said, well, actually, to tell you a funnier story, he said, I had a patient in that I said that to, and he was an entomologist. And he said, do you realize that a bee's penis makes up like 80% of its body? So in comparison, it's quite large. And he went, So now he looks at that completely different.
That's like, I had a colonoscopy last year.
Oh, they're always fun.
Great time. Like I was asleep.
Great times.
The surgeon, great bloke, very good sense of humor. And I was like, good, because if you're going to be in my butt, I want you to have a good sense of humor.
Yeah, I don't want to. The last thing you want to see when you wake up from someone being in your butt is them smoking a cigarette.
We can never get through a podcast, can we, without...
I don't know. Maybe this is why people listen. Might be why people tune out sometimes too.
But mate, it's why I listen anyway.
It's why I enjoy doing this, is because I can actually be myself. And I always say to people when I'm working with coaching clients, I coach differently. I said, when you do coaching with me, not only are you going to learn a lot of stuff, but we are going to have fun at the same time, because I just think it's really important, which is why I'm not a good fit for everybody. So let's move on to question 4. What was the fourth question?
It was outstanding leadership and integrity. So inside the profession. So for that, I spoke about, moving from an employee to a director, growing the team, one-on-one mentoring, and kind of talked about the progression of growth from our new grads to 3 or 4 years in now. And then also we have a lot of uni students and high school students come in and do observations and the thing they do in year 10, the work, what's it called?
Work experience.
Work experience, that's the one. Yeah. So yeah, I've had all photos from that as well, which is cool. And yeah, I've seen quite a few students now.
That's good. So once again, you documented what you've been doing.
We documented for our socials anyway. So we just had a big bank of it and I just went through and picked out the ones that were relevant.
Yeah, I know it's, would you say that because your business that you have now that you bought into, that was the first job where you worked, wasn't it?
No, second job.
Okay, it's the second job.
Yep.
Would you say that the leadership that your employer showed you in the second job that you've now brought into that practice has been a definite influence on you and how you now lead your own team?
Absolutely. Yeah, Mel has been great. She's the right amount of kind, but also like knows the potential in someone. So we'll push them if they need to be pushed. Yeah. So yeah, she's been phenomenal and definitely helped shape the way I lead.
Yeah, that's why I think it's when I did that episode, why I left podiatry, which is now the second most popular episode.
I really enjoyed that. It was a 2-part.
Yeah, it was a 2-part one, and both episodes have just smashed it through 1,000 downloads easily. And the saddest thing about all that is a lot of the people that left, I felt if they had had a good employer experience really early on, they'd probably still be in the profession.
Yeah. If Mel wasn't a good leader or a good boss at the time, I wouldn't have stayed in the profession. That was like my last goal at it.
Yeah. So, and that's why I tell people, don't let somebody else make your job terrible that makes you want to quit. Just find a better job. Because I know so many good employers that they are out there. And I think this old school thinking where we've got to punish you.
Yeah.
And you've got to do the hard yards. You've got to do all the crap work that I don't want to do. I think that's like a bygone era. Podiatry is too good now to treat people that way.
Definitely. And I think, well, I hope we'll see that fade out as time goes on. I think there's going to be a few older pods moving on soon. And yeah, hopefully bring it back to the new age and the way things are now.
Yeah, I do think that you either need to adapt to the new times, especially if you're a more mature podiatrist that's been around for a while. You have to adapt with the times. And what happened in the past is the past. You can't keep thinking that that's how you have to train people. It's like when you watch those shows like chef apprenticeships and they still scream at them and just treat them like dirt. And you go, I don't know how they can do that these days, because I reckon there'd be a lot of apprentices go, oh, you can't talk to me like that. I'm sensitive.
Yeah. I just don't think people respond to that anymore. And look, maybe some people do, but I think most people don't. And yeah, like you said, adapt or die. Yeah,
I was really lucky that even though I didn't work for anybody else, I sort of worked for myself straight away. But some of the really crappy jobs that I had working in meat works and chicken farms, I actually had some really, really good employers.
Yeah.
Who really showed just great leadership. And when I saw that, I went, that's how I want to be. Mm-hmm. Not saying that every person that worked for me would actually say that about me.
Look, mate, you're not for everyone, but you're for me, so it's all right.
Yeah. Okay. What was the fifth question?
The fifth one was evidence-based practice in your own profession. So that one was a bit of a trickier one, not because we aren't evidence-based, but it's almost a bit boring, like it's a bit of a bland category. So yeah, just talked about, again, up-to-date research on shockwave, that kind of thing that we use. I'm finished my endorsement recently too. So at the time I was about halfway through that for scheduled medicines. Just talked about that, things I've been doing, sitting in with surgeons and other pods and things like that, and then being able to use that in my own work.
So what's good about those questions though, is you can't bullshit your way through them.
Yeah, you can't hide. You've got to like be across all the facets of podiatry.
Yeah, and this is why I wanted to get you on to talk about this, was because I'd heard negative things about not just the Australian Podiatry Award, but some other awards, and people just feeling that, oh, they're not worthwhile or they don't mean anything. But I actually think they mean a lot.
Definitely. And from on that as well, onwards from winning, we've seen, or I've personally seen a lot of new clients too that have seen it on socials and that kind of thing on our website and have booked in and have brought it up when they're like, oh, the reason I came in is because I saw that award. Like, I've had this problem. I've been to other pods, hasn't quite fixed itself. Like, I want a second opinion. I
was going to ask that, because I think every award that businesses apply for, even when you just make the finals, you don't need to win it. A couple of things. One is what you learn going through the process, but also if you do happen to win it, it's great for marketing.
Definitely.
Definitely, because was it in the local paper as well where you are?
So it wasn't in the Adelaide, the Advertiser, but it was, funnily enough, in my like hometown paper, the country paper.
Yeah.
Because my dad sent it in.
And as he should.
So got a bit of a spread, which was nice. Not that we have a clinic there, but people travel and see me sometimes, which is cool. And then from that, I got a letter from the MP in the area.
Yeah.
That was nice to see you on this. So yeah, it's been cool.
I would have pushed for the Adelaide Advertiser.
Well, mate, that might be next. You've given me a good idea.
You should write up a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? I'll edit this part out. It'll still be in the video. What's the thing? Like
a press release.
Yeah, you should write up a press release and get it to the paper, because the thing is, the paper probably doesn't realize there are Allied Health Awards and there is an Australian Podiatrist of the Year. So that is a story. It helps the community. I think it'd be a great idea to do.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any ties to the Cairns newspaper?
The Cairns newspaper?
Yeah.
No, what I usually tell people is grab a copy of the paper, whether it's online, look through the business section of the different articles, have a look at who the reporters are. Then from there, track them down on LinkedIn, connect with them on LinkedIn, read a couple of the articles, and over a period of time, it's just make a comment to them, go, hey, I read this article that you wrote here. I thought it was great for this reason, this reason, this reason. And just start making connections with these people, because this is all part about digging the well before you need the water. If you can make connections with reporters and journalists in different newspapers in different areas, whether it's radio, TV, or print, when something significant happens in your life and you reach out and go, hey, I did this, they're going to go, oh, I know who you are. And you got more chance. I used to do this all the time. I was good at, what's the thing? Greasing the wheels. Plus, I enjoyed doing it. I love just communicating and talking with people.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. And if I want Australian Podiatrist of the Year too, I'd have a shirt that had Australian Podiatrist of the Year that I'd wear.
It might replace my shirt that I currently wear to bed, the Podiatry Legends podcast.
Yeah, if you had Australian Podiatrist of the Year t-shirt done up, you could just wear that on weekends, and it's a conversation piece. Do you ever get anyone ask you about the Podiatry Legends t-shirt?
No one sees it apart from my girlfriend, so no. She's always like, oh, that podcast shirt again. Yeah, I love it. It's comfy.
Should wear it out, see what happens. Well, you've already got a partner, so yeah, I'll just warn you, it's a bit of a chick magnet shirt.
That's why I can't wear it out the house.
That's why it's probably why you can't wear it out of the house, because you'd be pushing them away. And any women that have a Podiatry Legend shirt, they probably experience this all the time as well, that men just throw themselves at them as soon as they see that shirt.
Yeah, it's an aphrodisiac.
You're right. Our conversations go downhill pretty quickly.
I feel like most of my conversations go like this in my day-to-day life.
So back to the awards, what would be if there's a podiatrist sitting on the sideline, say there would have been 102 people applied. So there's a number of podiatrists that didn't get through to the final 5. What advice would you give them? And what advice would you give someone who's just been sitting on the sidelines thinking about it?
I think for the person sitting on the sidelines, just back yourself in, like be proud of what you do. There's lots of good I personally know lots of good podiatrists I think could definitely win it over me. So like be proud of yourself, be proud of what you do. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I think as pods, and I've been like this myself in the past, sometimes we're a bit scared of what other pods will think of us.
Oh, I know.
Because podiatry can be a bit like, a bit funny like that sometimes, a bit tit for tat. And just
it's like high school.
Yeah. But yeah, don't be afraid of what the other pods think of you. Like, if you know you're a good podiatrist, you're proud of what you do, you help people day in, day out, put yourself out there.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I do know some people will say, oh, I'm too scared to shoot a video because I'm concerned what other podiatrists will think of what I say, or write an article and concerned, if I write this, what's another podiatrist going to think? And I think the sooner you can get that out of your head, the happier you're going to be as a podiatrist, and the better the content will be that you provide.
Definitely.
So I'm sure there's podiatrists that don't enter the awards and go, oh, if I enter that, people are going to think I'm full of myself. And it's not the case. It's an award. It's no different to anything else.
That's right. Yeah. Be proud of yourself. And that's how our profession gets better. That's how the tide raises for everyone, because we put ourselves out there. That's how we, get better, well known than physios and chiros and things like that.
Well, how many times do you hear somebody say, oh, Dr. such and such, he's the #1 orthopedic surgeon in Australia, or he's in the top 5 in the world. Now, I don't know if they have a competition and they all get marked and there's a ranking, but if someone's #1, that means someone has to be the worst orthopedic surgeon as well, which is a bit of a worry.
Correct.
But at least with the Australian Podiatry Awards, there is an award there. So you can actually say, I was Australian Podiatrist of the Year in 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And be proud of it.
Definitely. So yeah, personally, I loved it. I think it's a good thing. I really enjoyed the process, and the awards night, had a few too many beers, but it was a great night.
I was about to ask that. When you did win, did you eventually have too many beers?
Mum cut me off before I got presented, because she was like, you need to stop because you've got to have to speak. And I was like on the edge of tips, you're having a good time, but it could go very sideways very quick.
Yeah,
and then after I spoke, and I think I spoke well, so I was like, whatever, Mum. After I sat back down, I just went to the bar and started getting jugs, not pints. So yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, well, the episode that came out last week, which will be the week before this one, I'll just rephrase it, because people watching the video here, because they can see the live stuff, I'll edit some of this out. So I did a talk this morning with Zoe Wilson in the UK. And the reason I got her on as well is because she just recently won a business award in the UK. And then when I saw your award thing, I said, I'm going to put your episodes back to back. Okay, so now I'm going to make so that episode hasn't come out yet. This is why the videos, when people watch the videos, that's why I put they're uncut, because we don't, all this shit will be edited out of the actual podcast, but some people watch your videos and find them entertaining. So I'm going to make a reference to last week's episode, because her episode is going to be the week before. Here we go. So on last week's episode, I had Zoe Wilson from the UK. And the reason I got her on the show was because she had also won a pretty prestigious female business award in the UK. And I asked her the similar questions just about the process that she went through, how she felt, what she learned from it about herself and her business, and how good it was for the business. And everything was positive. Absolutely. She said there was no negatives going through that whole process. So I encourage any podiatrist listening to this, if there's an award, even if it's a small business award in your area, just go and enter them.
Definitely. I agree.
And don't be afraid. Don't care what other people think.
Yeah, definitely not. It doesn't matter. Yeah, back yourself in.
So have you got any final words as we wrap up? Because this was never going to be a really long episode.
No.
But I am going to title this one Australian Podiatrist of the Year 2022. Should do it every year. I should get everybody that wins the Australian Podiatrist of the Year, I should get on the podcast and we do an episode.
Definitely. Because they're all from slightly different backgrounds too. So it'd be cool to sort of see the contrasting.
Yeah, so it would be interesting. And then I'm not sure if they have podiatrist of the year in the UK and other countries. If they do, if anyone's listening to this, just reach out to me, let me know. Would be great.
Get them on a few more episodes. Be good.
Yeah, it's nice that I'm actually getting a lot of podiatrists now who are approaching me saying, oh, I'm doing this. Do you think this would be interesting? And some of them will go, that would be really interesting. Come on in. And about others go, I've gone, no, that's it's purely self-promotion. The podcast is not about you coming on just promoting what it is that you're actually doing. And I've had a few in the past that have sort of snuck through, and I've sort of gone, yeah, probably. And they weren't bad episodes, but there was a real agenda when they came on, and I felt like I needed a shower afterwards. So I'm trying to avoid that. Even though there's nothing wrong with self-promotion.
No.
Well, the thing is, some people will have something that they're doing that I know they want to promote that. And I'm going, yeah, but come on, tell me your story first. I want to know your story, who you are. Then we can talk about what it is that you promote, because then it will actually give more context to what it is on how it actually came about, not just talk about that product, that thing, that event. So,
Yeah, bit of a different agenda.
Yeah. So have you got any parting words of wisdom before we wrap up?
I just want to say thank you for having me on again, mate. It's always a pleasure. But yeah, I love podiatry profession. I genuinely enjoy going to work. I love our clinic. I love our team. I'm looking forward to where the future goes. And yeah, just happy to be a part of the profession and growing that. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Last question. What did you think of Cairns when you're up here as a holiday destination?
Loved it. And as you know, I came at a really good time. It wasn't humid yet. It was just warm.
Oh,
so,
yeah, it's beautiful weather when you were here.
Super relaxing. Weather was good. People are really chilled. Food was great. Yeah, definitely be back.
Yeah. So at the moment, even the Devils moved out because it's just too hot.
Yeah.
It's really warm and humid at the moment, and we're still in spring.
That's the thing.
So I recommend people, if you're thinking of coming to Cairns to have a hamburger with me, if it's on your list of things to do, usually from April to about the end of September is the ideal time to come up. June, July, August is perfect, but it's real tourism season then. But October starts to warm up. November, which we're getting there, it's hot.
It's
December, my God. January, you wish you were anywhere but here. Okay, so Joe, thank you very much for coming back on. Congratulations again for winning Australian Podiatrist of the Year. And I'll talk to you again very soon.
Definitely, mate. Have a good one. Cheers.
Okay, thanks. Bye.